this is how I want to like. I'm maneuvering like this. This is how I want to be. And then around like November time frame, around my birthday, I'm like, oh, new year, new me type thing. And then that's when I kind
Yeah.
of, that's how I kind of be like, oh, I need a cut, get a cut, and I start that cycle over again. Getting ready for the new year. And I'm like, all right, gonna hit these goals, start fresh or whatever. And by the summer, I'm just like, nah, man, this ain't it, man. So I said this year as I started growing it again, it don't really tell whatever. It's been like a month now since I started growing it. Um,
Okay.
I'm kind of like now, like, man, you know what? I'm gonna embrace it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna embrace it. This is who I am. I'm unapologetically me, and this is how I gonna be.
I like to hear that from other people because it gives me that empowerment too. People like we spoke about, me and my space, and you gave me my acknowledgement, and I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it. However, I know I'm far from what I put on camera because I really, between what I have written down, between the things I talk about in real life, I say off camera, I'm so far past my starting point. This is 3 years in the making. This is not uh, some new thing I just said. Oh, I want to start up. Now I'm starting to post more. I'm letting people know about it now. Before, I think when I would post in like like throw a rock and hide your hand type of thing. I post it and like, okay, let me see who 2 likes. Okay, well somebody. I wouldn't even post reels. I don't even know if reels was a thing 3 years ago for real. But I would just put the post up. I didn't have a podcast page, so I didn't really believe in it. And I'm at a point now where I'm believing in it. Not only am I believing in it, other people are believing in it. Other people are saying, "Hey, like, oh, okay, you are making sense." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I'm making sense. I'm not just gonna get on a camera and put out content or put out information that I don't know about or that I haven't been through, because that's the whole point of the DOE Spot, which is discussions of experiences. If I haven't experienced it myself, I'm going to talk to someone who has experienced it, and you're going to get their perspective. So that all coming together makes sense for me versus someone who has a team. They already got a plan. I see that all the time. I'd be like, oh, it's a new podcast, 87 followers. I go back in a week, 475 followers. I'm like, God, like, what am I doing wrong? But they have marketing, they have people who are pushing it as a podcast. I don't even care about the space itself. I mean, as far as like what it's called or anything like that, I'm looking at it more so, all right, this is something I need. Like, I look forward to this. It's not a job for me. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I got to make this happen. I got to blow up, because it's going to happen over time. And I feel like, not necessarily to compare, but when they burn out, when they aren't, and I'm just saying this because I've seen it. A lot of people start something up. It's 2 people, it's 4 people. They link up. It's like, oh, we're gonna do this together. You got your rare people that it's like the pivot, but that didn't start off as the pivot. It was started off by an athlete with a whole different type of cast, and you see how that, what's the word, maturated, matured or whatever into something. So yeah,
Optimization.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to do that sometimes. You got to find a fit. Well, it's just me for real. Like, unless I have a guest on, which today we have a guest. I know we just talking, but a return guest, and that's just on the show. But this is my one of my best friends. And so, for now, Jay Wandoe, you are in the dope spot. Thanks for the whoever made it to this point for watching and checking it out. This is discussions of experiences as we go forward in 2025, almost August. This is the end of July. I just recently hit, or I should say, got to that 3 year mark. As I spoke about 3 years ago, deciding to just take this mic right here, and I'm looking at the mic itself, but I'm also looking at myself as a reflection. Like, who am I in this moment? This is before I made some headway when it comes to people that I didn't necessarily like how they was talking to me. I didn't like what people felt about me. And I'm saying that because of how they treated me or because of things that I allowed to happen in my life. After I had those conversations, I just feel so much better. Feel free. And this is something I probably should have done 10, 20 years ago. But you don't know in the moment because you allow people to keep you in a certain space. So this platform for me, I don't know about how anyone else's platform is used for real, but for me, it's my way of escape. Whether you see it on YouTube, see clips on TikTok or Instagram, like I have these conversations anyway with my people. I'm just bringing it to life. So if nothing else, for myself, for anybody else that's like, and I see it all the time now, especially since I'm kind of moving away from certain content in other accounts. I'm like almost strictly following podcasts, strictly following businesses, people that are going to inspire me and empower me to do what I do, that I can feed off of. It's cool to be my friend. It's cool to be a follower at this point, but I just don't have the space, too much more space or capacity, as they say, to just be like, oh, I'm just going to want to see what's going on in your life today. Because frankly, that's just not what I'm on. So the topic today, or the direction I want to head in, was about that, about the growth within yourself. When we go to those next levels, when we get that haircut, when we have a child, when we change the job with Larry, who will reintroduce himself, move about the country or across the world in the military. Some people are given a chance to recreate themselves. Well, not everyone is able to do that. When you're moving around, you're growing within yourself. That don't mean they grew with you. That don't mean that the person that left your hometown or the person that left that old job is going to continue to see you as however you're growing, as however you're building and transforming. They still see you as the lazy coworker. They still see you as the soft or the timid person that never spoke up. Now you got a whole personality. Like, wow, who is this person? And that's what I vow myself and whoever else to bring to the table, bring to this space. You thinking, oh, this person got all these followers, or this person is rapping, or this person is an athlete, or whatever they have going on because of whatever reason. But these people work hard. Like, people really sit there on their phones or on their computers, and they can edit in these things. It's a lot of work. I just say that this is a lot of work. A lot of work to sit there and reposition the camera where you want it, and then you don't even know what's working. You don't know what that video is going to do. You don't know what that audio message is going to do. So the best thing for you, I'll just say, uh, yeah, just put it out in a way that feels right to you. As we go into the episode, I ask Larry, like I said, introduce himself, bring us some wisdom. Mr. Larry Moffatt, man, welcome on. I know I kind of rambled and scrambled around, so I feel like Lamar Jackson in the pocket. Now I'm about to pitch it to Derrick Henry, you know what I'm saying? So he can run a I don't know plays power 40 or whatever. Somebody correct me. But yeah, welcome back, man. 6 months ago we did chat. Y'all can go back and check it out. So go ahead, man. Talk to the people, brother.
Yeah, man. So, just want to reintroduce myself. Harry, last name Moffatt, man. So, I knew Jay Wandoe. That's my brother. Going on, I don't know, what, 5, 6 years now. It's been a minute, man. But yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. About 7, yeah.
Six.
Honestly, I lost track of time, but that's my brother from, it's like we grew up together, to be honest. But yeah, so as he said, I'm currently active duty in the Air Force. Master Sergeant is currently my rank. And we go way back from the time that we were stationed together in Japan. So we have our basketball roots, and that's what initially brought us together. But brotherhood kept us tight, even more than that. So um, yeah, man, I just love to talk about all the good things, and we bounce off of each other, good ideas, bad ideas, how we doing in life, with things that we could be doing better, and everything in between. So I'm excited to be here, excited to be part of the growth and the journey. Jay Wando, along with the platform that he's bringing to y'all.
Thank you for that, bro. And I agree with that sentiment. Definitely, I'm with you. I just, man, I appreciate when people appreciate you, and I just say that, not because you're sitting here, but it's so many times we don't get proper recognition for what we feel who we are to people. And I'm sure you sat in countless conversations with people, and not to say people owe you anything, but you I know what type of person you are. You give a lot, even if it's just advice. And then it's like it's almost as if you didn't give them that extra push. And of course, no one owed you anything, but when you can revisit and somebody at least kind of give you an update of like, oh, okay, because we talked about this, this is what the results are. So I love being able to revisit and come back to conversations. We just recently lost Malcolm Jamal Warner. We just recently, well, I say we, because I know Hulk Hogan was an iconic figure, but just let's be honest, Hulk Hogan wasn't really he wasn't really working with us like that, and that's okay. It's okay. Still a life a life loss. Um, I couldn't stand the drop leg kick. That was one of the weakest moves to me. Like it wasn't something that I would love to try to do on a trampoline when we do wrestling moves. Showing my age, but uh, the shirt pull. I think we've all tried it at some point. If you any age over, I say 25, you probably try to rip a shirt. But I mean, if you were one of those people that grew up like me, you didn't have an extra shirt to just rip. Talking about some Hulkamania. Yeah, so much time spent on the Hulkster. Rest in peace. But yeah, Malcolm Jamal definitely. My brother's middle name is Jamal, and so that was always something that was like, okay, same middle name. But yeah, that was a tough. And I just recently found out how he drowned or how they reported it. Man, 54 years old, just like, you know, life in itself. We don't know when our time is. So to have these type of conversations, to have these moments and opportunities to speak with each other is a big, it's a blessing. To be black men opening up our homes, our hearts. I mean, we're fathers of three. My kids are in another room, and I trust that, they can take care of themselves at this point. Is it wrong to kind of leave your kids? No, I don't think so. And they know that. I know after it gets at a certain time to check on them, or I know how responsible my kids are because I live with my kids. I see my kids every day, and so not to try to merge those two things what I just said together, where you got fathers, you got men who can trust that what they've done, what they've taught, is not necessarily what they've learned. And what I mean by that is I didn't have a lot of supervision growing up. So everything I'm growing to be and everything I'm learning is really on the fly. It's really from people like Larry. It's from people that I meet along the way that really can show me like, okay, this is how you could probably do things better, or how you can probably likely do things. And it's not to say like you're going to follow that blueprint, that path, but at least giving you something versus nobody saying anything and you're in the house. You're not really being shown anything. My mother-in-law calling, see that, but that's right there. Even stuff like that. My mother-in-law calling when I just talked about, that protective. Like she know, she like, okay, you watching the kids because she'll ask that too. But even having that type of stuff, I don't have. Me and Larry talked earlier about life insurance. Like we don't always have people that teach us things along the way. So that's my next direction I want to go into. What are some things for you that I guess one of them, if you knew back then how things would have gone differently, or because you know these things now, how is that helping you when it comes to raising your kids? Or you're a master sergeant in the Air Force. That's not an easy feat, especially to be under 20 years. So really under 15 years. So how do you look at that as far as where your life is coming to be?
Man, so I like to bring on this is that I work with a couple contractors that work in my shop, my unit right now. Um, they're both retired military, both retired senior NCOs. So they spend a lot of time of like doing this mentoring with me.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just I know that flopping. You know?
that fly whooping me right now, man. Golly, yeah, it's been whooping me. I had to clean out the trash can with bleach and everything, and
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
they got it all in the girls,
We got one downstairs right now.
yeah, it's killing me right now. So I apologize for the sudden
It's all,
movements and everything
it's
right
all
now.
good.
Um, but what I was saying is that for them, um, I get a lot of mentoring them on a daily, on a lot of stuff, right? And we talk about things that, our upbringing and kind of how that influenced the way that we maneuver now as adults, as parents, and everything and all in between, right? So a lot of times, man, now I don't feel like I'm old, but like my rank, my position in the unit, or like one of the positions, is that hey, I'm in a position of leader of some capacity, that I have younger, or less experienced people that work with me, right? So even they come in and I got a 24-year-old, right? And they want to talk about how their experiences are, and we find ourselves coaching him or mentoring him. We're like, oh, let me put you on game, young fella, type
Yeah.
thing, right? Kind of like we like in a barbershop for real, but we be just be chopping it up at work, so it's a good environment on that. So how I'm going to tie all this together is that a lot of times we be discussing things, and we was like, man, what we learned growing up, especially like in the black culture, we did things pretty much ass backwards, right? A lot of times. So I'll give you an example. I
Please.
admittedly said that I was more looking forward to being a father than being a husband. And you think about it, and it's like that's that's totally normal in our culture, right? Like, oh man, it's like, when are you gonna have a baby? It's like, oh man, I can't wait to have my baby. I can't wait to see my little son, whatever, right? And you think about it, like in any other cultures, well, and this is a perspective as a black man, right? But any other cultures, or you could say even for a female, for say, is that it's taught is like you should find your spouse first, right? Get married, then have children, right?
It's in the
And
Bible
that's
somewhere. I would
yeah,
reference it later, but
yeah, that's the order how it's supposed to go. But it is totally, like normal for us to think about. It's like, oh yeah, have kids. But like, yeah, man, I can't wait to my little Larry, you know what I'm saying, running around. And I was looking forward to fatherhood before I even had married. And so that's how we end up getting, and a lot of times we end up in this trap, right? And they're like, oh, now you had this baby, I had the baby to this wrong person. Y'all ain't together, or it didn't work out. The whole child support thing and all this and that, and it just the trap that we get caught in, right?
right. The
Um,
cycle.
the cycle, yes, the cycle. A lot of it is because it's a mindset, right? We allowed ourselves to think that that's okay because that's what the culture said, that's okay, right? And now they're like, hey, we know him better, and it's like, so when the young guy was coming in, he talking about it, he kind of shared the same thing. He's like, man, I'm kind of looking forward to having a kid more so than being settled down and having a wife. And I'm like, yeah, be honest, you're a guy. You can have a kid in your 40s and your body's going to be okay. But you better make sure that you having a kid to the right woman, because that's going to be a significant factor in your life. You could do everything perfect, and life is going to make it a lot more difficult for you. One is your profession, right? Your profession, like this guy, he's in the military, obviously, right? So it's like, guess what? If your spouse or the kid's mom is in the military, it's a chance for y'all to be separated. Or if that person is not in the military, then you could get, you know, uh, PCS somewhere else. You get relocated somewhere else. And now you're thinking about like, oh, is your kid is gonna come with you? Are you able to raise your kid by yourself? Or are you willing to accept that, doing part parents? All these other things that you're not really willing to accept. and or willing to think about that. That's very significant factors, right? And then think about like, oh, you being around your kid every day, just like you say, yeah, my kids are in the house, they're upstairs, they know where dad's at, right? They know that hey, they can't do certain things. Hey, they're getting too loud. Hey, y'all better hush because dad's gonna get upset, right? They know those things, right? That's because you're present, right? The presence matter, and so they grow a level of comfort having dad present. And those are the things that a lot of people just don't really consider, or we didn't consider, or think that it's just, those are second, third order effects. They're like, oh, I didn't even think about it. Now it's like all of those things affect who you are, as a kid. And then you growing up and you're going to realize that, like, dang, man, you know what? If these things happen, or it's not even if these things happen, you realize why the way that you are as an adult because of these small factors that happened to you or didn't happen to you
Didn't happen, or didn't happen for you.
or didn't happen for you that now affected how you view things as an adult, and now it's going to carry on to.
Exactly. I appreciate that. As I was listening, it made me, it triggered some notes that I had. I have tons of countless amounts of topics or directions I want to head in. According to YouTube, my titles aren't good enough, so that's why I'm not getting the volume. So maybe I don't know. I don't really care that much about that. But one of the topics I brought up was, what's worse than not having a father? And this could be spiritual. This could be, actually having a father there. So that conjured up some thoughts when there were moments, and I'm gonna make it personal. Fine. When my father wasn't around, I had my grandfather in the house, but unfortunately, he was, in rest in peace. My grandfather, he passed around the time I met you, 2018, and he was just in the house. And when I go to school, he was in the house. He know I'm talking about him, so I gotta gotta sneeze. He was in the house. Um, excuse me. And then when I get home from when I go to school, he's in the house. When I get home from school, he's in the house. And again, when you met me, that was my life for a while because I chose to, instead of working, instead of going and trying to find something, I'm like, well, I'm going to just go to school, try to handle that, and raise my, who's now 7, my child, my daughter, in the house for the first year. And had I, looking back at that, that really hurt me because my work ethic got just dismantled. And I was working really hard before I went to Japan. I was working nights, sometimes 16, 17-hour shifts, making pretty decent money. I was Uber driving. My hustle game was up. But then I started leaning on the woman, my wife, and didn't realize that I would almost need that pass later. So when things come up, as things come up now, excuse me, that was the one I needed. That's granddaddy. He was like, "All right, bro, get it out." But when I needed that little extra time, I say, that's when it's like, okay, well, you remember you took that, like you kind of give up your passes, you give up your excuses. Your spouse, your kids, your hiring manager, your supervision don't care about your shortcomings. Like you said, you're in leadership. Who cares that you didn't get enough sleep last night? Who cares that you didn't come prepared for this meeting? And so what I know what we're doing right now is building that up. We're making something available for people to go back to later on. I don't really desire to kind of, I say, burn out in this moment because I felt like I did my party. I had my party phase. I'm still a father, obviously, but I had that like new father phase. I don't plan on having any more kids, but if God says so, so be it. But I'm gonna be so much more prepared, bro. Like it ain't even gonna be a thing. My fourth child, he or she is gonna have it made because I've worked through so much. Whereas in the first couple kids, I didn't have a mom or dad to be like, okay, this is something you need to prepare for. Hey, here's $5,000 because you're gonna need it for a vehicle. You're gonna probably need to upgrade your vehicle. So that's just the physical financial part. Forget the mindset. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, my granddad couldn't show me. My dad wasn't around to show me. My mom wasn't strong enough to tell me. And I'm not just saying my mom, but her mom, and other people around us. So, as far as the family dynamics, we were never really. Many of us don't never really stood a chance, and that's just growing up. So you done made it through your childhood, you made it through high school, you enter in adulthood with that same mindset of, well, as long as I just have a kid, and you're not thinking about, forget the marriage part itself. Like you said, being with the right person that I'm going to marry. So you need to find out things about their family, and hopefully they're not bringing some of the same stuff with them to your marriage, because it's going to come back up. If y'all hear nothing else in this episode, it's going to come back up. Anything you've done, anything you haven't done, any miscues, misfires, it's almost like military. You don't clean your weapon, your aim is going to be off. It's going to show up because your what's the guy, you're at Cadam, and you didn't clean it properly. You didn't clean that firing pin. You didn't work. You hooping. We can tell who's conditioned or not. Um, I brought up. I posted something recently about hygiene. Some people, whatever, they don't do well when it comes to hygiene. People don't change out their linen. They use the same washcloth that they use to wash their face to clean their body. And for a long time, I didn't know that wasn't a thing. Because we didn't have extra washcloths and towels. And I hate to bring up the struggle story all the time, but that's like a large part of my life when it was like that. Dealing with different women at one point where, you just swapping them in and out. It took just one woman, shout out to her. She know who she is, and she hear this one at one point to be like, when the last time you changed your sheets? Because I'm not gonna be, in your bed with your sheets not clean. I'm just like I couldn't give her an answer. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And that's I know that's gonna seem like off topic, but it's kind of along the same thing. Like these things that even no matter how old you get, you still haven't grown up. A lot of us and our parents haven't grown up. They're very comfortable, and they're always good being in a spot where they can just congratulate you, but you don't have anything to congratulate them on. All you got is the thank you for raising me, mom. Thank you for you know helping me to survive, even though I had to survive by myself for most of the time. It's tough. Good thing about this, you just record and clip it out. So I was talking about growth. Oh yeah,
So
perfect.
you
Got it.
got it.
Yeah. So as we enter into the adult space where everyone's feeling like, oh, you should have it together because you're in this position, because you're an educator, because you have education. That doesn't mean that these other things are just going to go away. As you get not just older, but as you start to learn that, wow, I'm actually growing, or I don't really need to follow this trend, that I need to prioritize my time, and the time management is huge. Something that I think we sat around a lot as a culture. We looked at it as a cool thing, even like time in the barbershop before there were appointments, sitting around on the porch. Why aren't y'all at work? Like, what were we doing? Especially if you lived out in the country, like a lot of my family did, just sitting around at the porch. And it wasn't like it was money saved up, like we was sitting on something. Next thing you know, people gone. They died. Ain't leave nothing with the family. My son. Oh my gosh. What what happened between you hurt yourself? Tell mommy. You hurt your head and now it's your foot. Oh my gosh. Why are you so sticky? Oh, she pushed you? Tell him you sorry. No, she didn't tell you she's sorry. Sorry. What you say? Yes, and suddenly, as the time goes on, people are passing away, and a lot of that wisdom, or those people that may have been like, "Hey, young fella, while I'm sitting here, let me tell you how to make it out." because I feel like most people who don't make it out, it's not like they didn't know they couldn't make it out. Because they always got a story about, man, I used to be a cold pool player. Man, I used to, back in the day, I would touch the top of the backboard, but never stop to tell you what happened. At least not in an honest way. You didn't have the grades. You had a alcohol issue. You had some abuse going on in the family. It can't always be about money. Back to what you were saying, the mindset. So I think as we grow older, we unfortunately, have the responsibility. Now, I said a privilege. I have the privilege of teaching other people. I have the privilege of creating a platform for other people to utilize. Infinite wisdom throughout these moments, right? Like I don't look at somebody that I say it's already on, has a profession, to be like, man, they're only, and I've said this before, they're only who they are because of their status, right? Well, yeah, maybe the popularity side, but I've grown and learned so much from those people because I understand that they did go through a whole nother phase of life. So much like myself, this ain't like my first phase of life. I'm not just like, oh, I'm just out here for the first time ever speaking my mind on things. Now I used to do it, I just didn't do it on camera. And when I did it in my space, it was more so my space. When I did it in my arena, it was more so I was kind of talking one on ones. I was building with people. We could relate to certain things, and a lot of these people, when I think about that, are like really doing other things in life. Shout out to my boy Chris. I have his saxophone music on a lot of my episodes. It's good music for one, but Chris has always been talented. More Love is his name. He's always been talented. Now he's using his talents to perform. He's performing. It's July 25th. He's performing right now. He's actually in the middle of performance right now. And I'm just like looking at that, like, wow, like I remember we used to have conversations about certain things. He was one of the main people that was a big part of the DOE Spot, because the DOE Spot came from a house party theme. I shared this before, where people could come to my house and we just kick it. We weren't going to the clubs. We play music and everything else, but you were pretty much safe, and that's what I wanted to recreate on a social media scale. So shout out to More Love, man. That's my dog. We got some stories that I hope never come out, ever. But if they do, statute of limitations. God forgive, but that's my guy. So yeah, man, I appreciate it, all your input, man. I think that's that perspective of seeing it from your side, because I really think people don't give the Air Force enough. I don't necessarily say credit, but when you say military, a lot of times most people Army, like right away. And if you're not Army, you're nothing. And that's a bigger branch. It makes sense. Most people know about be all you can be in the Army. They know that first. They grew up on that. But however, almost like Andre 3000 said back at the Source Awards, the Air Force got something to say too. We got some good folks. It's a lot of people that came out of the Air Force and that's coming out, that's starting businesses and doing major things. And I'll just say this to you, one who last time we talked, we spoke about your travel business. Um, you're someone that I know that I'm going to work with one day, that I'm going to make some money with one day, but also somebody I trust to share information with. I've shared more information with you about my personal life than I have with most people, even my wife, because I know not only that you have gone through and you go through your own stuff, but you listen to me. We connect on things. We don't always agree, and we tell each other that. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that because of this. That's if we had that in we that's where I want to get at. If I had me growing up, ah ah, hey, hey, like if I had me, bro, like man, or if I had a you growing up, so that 24-year-old almost kind of owes you success. He don't owe you directly, but I would hope that he uses things you have told him, the mentorship, and say, I'm gonna make something of myself. because he knows you're holding him accountable. You offered the opportunity for him to come up to you to speak. Our leadership wasn't always like that. You know, you talking to them and they listening to you. It's always like, well, you need to do this things this way. You need to do things this way. Like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, this is how it's done. This is how we do things around here. So, as a black man growing up, uh, seeing people respond in that manner, they may not have said it, but their actions showed they don't really care about their life. So, what is yours going to be like about? They're cool with you staying in this country town, or they're cool with you staying around here and not leaving. Man, you going into the military? I heard that before I left to go to the Air Force back in 2006. What's out there? It's war, and blah blah blah. So the difference between me dying out there and then dying here, what do you think is more noble? At least when I do die, we spoke about this too. It's some life insurance. At least my mom would have something to live on for a little while. I don't know what she's gonna do with it, but at least she has something. Versus if you pass away, if I pass, excuse me, if I pass away here, we're cooked, fish fries. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing to be insensitive. What I'm laughing is because I know that's the go to, the fish fry. Now it's GoFundMe. No, it's the family. You gotta get humbled. I don't, man. Uh, I'm gonna let you rock this segment. But I'm so tired of being humbled with my family. Look, if we don't get along now, we probably not gonna get along later. I've tried. I can't think of a family member that I have had an issue with that I hadn't tried to make some peace with. At this point, at some point, because I think I have more energy to give to the new people, not to be reaching back, not to be going back in the crates, listening to the oldies. You know what I mean? For us to continue having those same conversations and we're gonna talk more, we're gonna be better. No, we're not. We're not, because I'm not the person anymore. I can't give you that time. Growth, man. Growth is something major. Come on, man. Some more infinite wisdom. I know you got some.
Growth culture, man. Yeah, man. That's one of the that's been one of the highlights of like probably like I won't say my highlights, but that's been the mindset for the last 3 years of mine. And we talked about like the 24-year-old self and and everything, but I think it really just dawned on me in like really the last 3 years. Um, I'll say starting from 2022, right? And I think the reason why is because like there's a difference of like, hey, you wanting to, and you have to be forced to do it. Um, and so there was things that I know that I was going on in my life that I had to. It forced me to have to think about this in a different way. You know, we can say about, oh, you get a new job and it's like you got to learn something new or whatever the case may be, right? And it's not just solely you learning how to do a job. It's like you learning how to be uncomfortable and be uncomfortable either talking or being in spaces that you just never used to, right? Um, I'll be honest, I feel like I used to could bullshit my way out of a lot of things. Yeah, I could just say these certain couple things, or I could just, off the top of my head, I could just make it sound good, right? Um, and then you start being in environments where you have to, when people are validating, or people really take what you're saying as the truth, right? And now it comes, now you don't want your credibility to be, uh, you don't want your credibility to be challenged. And so from there, like if you're not forced to change, then there's something wrong with you, I should say. And that's where it's like you have to embrace that, right? So like I used to, a lot of times we got the benefit of the internet, social media. You see like videos and hopefully your algorithm are showing you positive things, right? But it talks about, you read enough books or you audio book enough books or whatever, and a lot of times you'll see some of these people, where, quote unquote successful people, right? And they'll talk about, and they have periods of time where they struggle, then they figured something out, then it was on this high and it was crushing it and crushing it, crushing it, right? And then they get on and say, well, they lost everything, right? They lost everything. And then they go through, a period of a low or whatever the case may be. And then when they bounce back, they might get there, then go back down. But once they figure it out, then they will just go, right? And a lot of times you'll see that, and you'll understand that it's like it's sometimes it takes that. It takes that to happen. A lot of times, I wouldn't say a lot of times. I mean, majority of the time that happens to the most successful people, that they have to go through those period of those lows, and it doesn't always start at the beginning. A lot of times it's somewhere in the middle. But the crazy thing is you don't know when you're in the middle when you're going through it, or you don't know when you're in the beginning. Well, you don't know when you're at the end, but you just got to keep going, right? And so, there was periods of time where it's like I don't really live my life to say that I have regrets, but there's things that like, man, I wish I knew better. But there's times where I was like, if I see myself of like, I'm thinking back when I might had like a certain amount of money that I had saved, right? Oh, like my investment's looking good right now. I got X amount saved right now, and I was like, oh, if I would have capitalized on this, if I would have bought a house on this, or I would have 2017 put 20,000 in a Bitcoin right now, that right there. When I had just 20,000 just sitting there, right? That was liquid. And, you know what I'm saying? You just think about things like that, right? But all the other things that I wasn't equipped with. Okay, my financial literacy wasn't always as great, or, you know, my marriage wasn't as stable as what it is right now, or, my, all these other factors that go along with it that cause you to make some certain these decisions with it. So even though you're going periods of life and say like, oh well, your bank account goes up and down, and it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm really at that low, but be honest, it's like you probably aren't truly at that low because you got all these other things that's going for you that you ain't even realize. It's like you had, um, you know, a lot of time we measure our success with money, and that's, you know, quite frankly, that's kind of what social media kind of, train our mind to think, or society train our minds to say you got to have X amount of money to be successful. Maturing is realizing it's knowledge, it's experience, it's, family that makes you successful, or you have to define it yourself. And so as you going through those periods where you have those up and downs, but you don't realize that you still, as long as you are progressing, and however way that is like whether it's an example would be I had a couple years ago I had this amount of, let's say I had 30,000 saved in my just savings account, um just for an example. And then but I'm renting a house, right? I'm renting a house, and I have a car payment of $500 or whatever. And then fast forward, a couple years later, I like now I'm a homeowner. I bought a house. I put X amount down. Now my payments is a little bit lower, and I'm building equity in the long term. Also have a paid off vehicle. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all those, those other things that could quote unquote that other people would love to be in that situation. Other people will be blessed to have that be in a situation. Your credit's better now. You have a business that's building residual income. All those things that that quote unquote could have been happening that didn't happen in the background, or it wasn't at time yet, is like all those things happen. And if you're necessarily doing those things, those repeated behaviors to help you continue to grow, then I feel like that better defines you or better aids you to be successful. I think you still muted, bro.
I am. I was just saying that's beautifully put, bro. Thank you for adding that into the conversation. I know we are going into more depth, and which always happens with our conversation, right? We'll end up, talking, and then man, we were 2-3 hours on the phone. But that's just because we are in alignment a lot of times. So I'll just take a couple points from what you said. One, where you are is where you are. Like right now is where you are. Whether that is the fact that you do have a lot of money saved, that you do have this great job, or that fact that you lost a job. I lost a job over the summer, before the summer even arrived, and it crushed my life for temporarily. I do have faith. I love, that I can lean on God for things. But at that point in time, in my head, in my spirit, I said, okay, this isn't where you don't want me to. It's not where you want me to be, Lord. But the the flesh in me was like, oh, what am I going to do? What you got for me? Because it ain't looking good. Yeah, I know I might have some. I got to have. I was under contract, so I was like, it's going to be a payout. But I don't always manage my money well, and I didn't make a great financial decision while I had the job at the time, which I'm paying for now. Like you said, at least I have that recognition, because at one point I'll not have the money, make a bad financial decision, and be depressed because I didn't have the faith, and other people will be paying for it. So, like you were saying as well, you'll do some things saying like, "Oh well, I didn't, I can talk my way out of this." Well, I don't know about y'all out there who are married, but well, probably your kids first. They're gonna hold you accountable because it's gonna be something they ask you for. That if you were taking care of your money, it wouldn't be such an issue that you can cover it. But because you didn't take care of your money, because you made a poor decision, or you got a poor decision coming up, you got a bill or whatever, it's hard for you to provide. So if you're one of those people, one of those fathers, particularly, I can only speak from a father's point of view, that may not always be great with money or be able to be available. If nothing else, that's probably when you need to like get a loan or use that credit card and take care of your kids first. Because I think the worst thing for me, for my child, it's a few things, but one of the worst things is for my child to feel like, or for me to feel like I can't protect my child, for me to feel like I can't take care of them to some capacity. Back to what you were saying, I'm thinking about my children. And I ain't saying I'm not thinking about my wife, but I know they affect her too. So she can take care of herself, but my kids, and I think she's told me this before. Shout out to my wife. You know my wife, bro. She, if you can do whatever you want, but the moment you tell me you can't take care of something that I need for the kids, we done. And I don't think a lot of brothers out there hear stuff like that, man. And maybe because they're on the end of the financial side, but that don't mean it's always going to be like that. So don't get it twisted. At one point, I will be soon again, making more or as much money as my wife, but for that time period, I wasn't. I was unable to. Forget the savings. When you can't steadily provide, that's a hurtful feeling. So even in those moments, being prepared in a way mentally, because you've learned, because you've grown over time, helps you so much better than not knowing. And I think a lot of times, when we were growing up, people couldn't, or were maybe afraid to tell us, you know what, son, you know what, daughter, you know what, nephew, you know what, niece, I'm in a bad spot right now. I can't help you. I can barely help myself. And that might have helped. That might have saved so many people, just being transparent. I know people don't like things like this. Wow, what's wrong with y'all? A lot of people don't like things like this, where you putting people business out, and we talking generally. Cause I can call names. I'm not gonna do that. See, that's when I know it's time to wrap up. My son start coming in, wrecking havoc. This is just generally speaking because I know people can relate, and I'm not just saying that because I just think it, because I see it, I know it. I These people that like you said, are in successful spaces. Yeah, it was times where they weren't there, and I'm so thankful to see people come up out of their situations. It hurts me to see people who were real like up at certain times and kind of mess it up or have life circumstances throw them off. But I'll say this before we get out of here, man. Um, and this is from just who Jay Wandoe is. Lean on, lean not on your own understanding, and that not necessarily just from the Bible, but when there, how I interpret that, if there are things out there you are unsure of, please, like YouTube, your Bible, your mentors, don't go to your family asking them for advice from stuff, bro. They don't know. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you tell ask your family member for any kind of advice? Man, this is going on in my life. This is going on in my marriage. They can't help you. And I know for a long time, and a lot of people do that. They end up going to their family to go to where it's comfortable and just start telling their business. That's why I don't get on Facebook like that. That's kind of where the family dynamics are. So I don't even really share my new life with Facebook because that type of community is not who I want to attract anymore. And I know that sounds wild, but I know people who are, and not, excuse me, I'm just speaking for myself. I know who I am now. Before, I was trying to be somebody for other people, for a lot of people. And I have had to shed that skin, shed that layer of Jawan and become Jay Wando up here because this person did see the world. This person has escaped from certain things. And granted, I love my family. I love things that like the memories. However, I've had to work so hard, so much harder because I wasn't told the truth or I wasn't disciplined at certain times. Things I would have needed, things that, like I said before, like we not only confused, but had we had somebody, a big homie, big cousin, being like, hey, let me take you for a ride real quick. Let's talk about something. Hey, man, you've been talking to your mama crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? And you have to actually face that, like, tell why you did something wrong or, you know, and then as you get older, start getting into finances where it's like, okay, you make money, you make good money, but like you spending it wrong because you spending it on shoes and other things like that. So growth is not necessarily just in a sense of like one thing. It's so many other areas you can grow in, but it's also so many areas you can, regress. Who are you when you're on either side? When you way up, who are you? When things aren't going well, who have you become now? And so I pride myself on remaining true to who I am, remaining in character, and I hope I've showed that to you throughout the years that as long as you've known me. But my son is an example. I said this before. Like I grew up. He's helped me to grow up because of stuff like that. I didn't feel comfortable talking to my dad. Like I didn't feel comfortable going to him and being like, "Hey, Dad, I need to talk to you about something." Um, now I say what I got to say, but for that taking that long, that's wild. So shout out to everybody that's being a good father. Shout out to everyone that's being a good adult that has learned. This ain't for you. I'm glad for you. I'm glad you got that worked out in your life, but it's a lot more of us who still got some growing to do. And I really hope and pray that you find somebody that you can have in your life, even if it's just that one friend that can see you for who you are right now.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, one of the key things is, just focusing on what you were just saying, the key into it is like asking your peoples about, advice and things of that nature. And that's tough. That's tough for a lot of folks, right? And depending on their circumstances. I I look at it like this. It's like if you don't got what I'm looking for or what I see as you got it figured out, I'm not gonna ask you about it. If you can't, I can't ask a person who only got $1,000 how to make $1 million move if they don't got $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it like that, right? Failed relationship advice, and you know, why am I gonna ask my single homeboy about like all marital things, right? We do it all the time. We realize it. Like I get it, because it's comfortable. It's your homie, that's your mom, that's so whoever, right? Um, but it's a lot of those things that we just have to grow and adapt. We have to adapt, and we have to expand our circle. We have to be uncomfortable and reaching out to folks, or get in those rooms where we're seeing the other people that we're trying to strive to, see what success like, right? We were just talking about earlier. It was like, how many people, like, we know that as of right now, today's standard, that making 100K a year isn't what it used to be, right? It isn't a quote unquote a lot now in today's standard. But in reality, how many people that we know that actually make that from a singular job? I ain't saying with multiple things, like if you get VA and things like that we just talked about, but like how many people that we actually do that? And if it's like we could count on one hand, two hands, then that means that we need to be expanding our circles even more. And I think that is what the challenge is. And we talking about growth mindset. That's growth. Expanding your network, right? Your network is your network, right? So doing those things is kind of like making sure that you are continuously growing from that, and everything else just take care of itself. The little problem, I won't say the little problems, because they're not little to somebody.
Right.
Every
Yeah, yeah.
problem's there, but
I get it.
the problems that you will have, you realize that they are no longer a problem, because they have been, belittled by these these things, that these other successful habits or these other things, to just eliminate those things. You can worry about, like, oh well, you know oh, I got to worry about paying my credit card or whatever, right? You learned about auto pay. Boom. Now that's eliminated, right? That's just like just a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
funny
That's
example.
dangerous.
But you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that's like that, and we just trying to, that's what I'm trying to do and navigate, man. It's like, you talk about like family or whatever, right? And I don't want to, I had a problem where I didn't want to leave people behind, you know what I'm saying? And I just thought that I was just on this I'm on this period of progression, that like, hey, like,
It's triggering me now. Now I got to go back to this post. But I'm listening.
yeah, yeah, I have this, I'm on this period of progression, that it's like, hey man, like I don't have the capacity to continue to have to kind of reach back to say that, hey, you're doing the same thing. I don't have anything else to talk about at that point. Yo, you okay? You're doing the same thing. That's cool, because I'm not. And I don't want to small talk. I don't. And why should I have to do that just to appease you? But it's like, hey, like, yeah, I still love you. I still got love for
Oh,
you, but why
yeah, I
do,
love you. So I'm not going to continue feeding into
yeah,
whatever version
yeah,
that you see. Shout out to Princess Power. I'm going to get him on one day. If you don't know who Princess Power is, he's a poet. He's all over, all over many platforms. We had conversations via DMs. I'll talk about it another time. One of his stories, real quick, not to cut you off, but he said, be sure to recognize when people are speaking to an outdated version of who you are. Don't be so quick to react. They don't even realize you're no longer the person you were the last time you interacted with them. He goes on further to say, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't want to accept a new version of you. It bothers them because they're still the same. And they will speak to you as if there's no self evolution. It's an attempt to get you to revert back to the old version of self. Furthermore, and sometimes this new updated version of you just needs to exercise shutting the F up. Just let them talk. Let them think how they think, whatever. No response, because that's power and control in silence. And finally, he says, you do not owe anyone an explanation in regards to your growth.
man, that's
So,
facts, man.
it
That's
really
facts.
hit,
He spent nothing but gems on that one.
and he spit a
He
lot.
dropping Sonic coins right there.
Right, clean, clean. Larry, man, appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna do this a little backwards. It's your host Jay Wandoe. You enter the DOE Spot, where we have discussions of experiences. Should be a safe space where we aim to deliver messages of empowerment. Feel welcome, anybody that comes on here, as we speak a universal language of love. As always, we show gratitude. My gratitude to you, brother. It's been an amazing talk. As we do things, I'm networking now, bro. My man Tay shoot me a text. So I like stuff like that. So if you about your business and we ready to talk about something, we already had some connect. Ain't no need for all that back and forth messaging. Let's just go ahead and connect. Here's my number. Shout out to Unc Podcast. Y'all go follow his page. He's trying to get that YouTube going. We did an episode which I'm gotta upload that soon. Some audio issues going on, but we're gonna get that together. Um, there's so many people I can name. Every guest I've had on, thank you for having me. Because I it's people that that really shared a lot of information that they didn't have to. There was never any money exchange. Nobody was ever like, "Hey, it's the invoice." I'm lit right now, so you gotta you gotta throw me something. It was never none of that. Nobody was ever said, um, "Hey, how is this going to be used?" And I don't take that lightly at all. Like that's a lot, especially in this day and age where people do take your material, they hold on to it, and as soon as you do something, it's either using it for your gain or to your downfall. And you see that going on now, where it's like all some old pictures. And I don't want to die or leave this earth or be incapacitated to a point where I can't speak for myself. So this is my opportunity to speak for myself. I gotta. I'm gonna tell the story first. I'm gonna tell my own stories.
Yeah, what did it say? He was holding on that picture. They say he was at that dinner party.
Right. Come on, man. I know I've been to some parties. Somebody posted a video of me like at the club, walking out the club, and dude came up with the kid. This is probably like 2012, 2013. And I'm like, man, I answered that pretty good. I was still there. He didn't tag me in it. I just happened to see it. And I was like, wow, I was media trained back then. You know what I'm saying? You want to hope that was you. You don't want to hope. You don't want it to be like I was wilding out. I was getting dragged out of the club. So if that was you and you've grown from that, good. If you haven't grown from that at this old age of yours, come on now, come on, my dog. It's time to give it up. It's time to go to the. It's time to go in the house, bro. As we close out, Larry, anything you want to pass on to the people? I know we've been going for a minute, and I like this episode. I think this is probably one of the better ones in a while. Like just not because you opened up a lot more. You talked about the business before, and I feel like you're more comfortable on the camera and the mic. So, shout out to you, bro.
Growth culture, brother. Growth
Yep,
culture,
yep.
man.
That's
Growth
what we
culture.
on.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to, send my gratitude for letting me share the platform with you, man. And it's always a blessing to hear you speak, us to have this opportunity to talk some real talk, man. Because I think we always have those conversations, but it's good that we know that other people are going through a lot of the same things. And if they're not, then guess what? They get to hear it from another perspective, and maybe it'll dawn on them a little bit later in life. And that's what it's for, right? Just want to give a shout out to uh, I'm doing a selfish plug here.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, so uh, I have a travel vlogger page, Instagram page. So if y'all want to see some adventures of like what we share with my family, my experiences, um, follow our IG. It's travel.foodie.ventures. So it's our travel business, and we share our vlogging experiences on different trips, food, everything under the sun, man. So just want to big up that, if y'all see something different, give that a like and info, man.
Yeah,
Keep in
sure
good
that. I'll
contact
put
on
it
there.
up on a video. It ain't gonna go nowhere. I make sure I do that. I do people right when it comes to editing and give people their credit. 'Cause that's for me what it's about anyway. This is like a big poster board when you're walking by the office and it's like cleaning service and lawn care, and this is what I want this to be anyway. So no doubt, I'm gonna make sure it's tagged, and we're gonna promote this. And I more of a social media presence. So it's like people for you. I want to do that so you can. We both working. We both get more comfortable doing this. So yeah, it's easy, man. Too easy. Larry Moffatt, U.S. Air Force active duty. Master Sergeant. He's on his way to Senior Master Sergeant soon. It's on the way. Shout out to Florida. Shout out to Jamaica. Shout out South Carolina. Shout out Texas. We just in the building, man. We blessed to be here. We blessed to be able to pour into each other and feed off one another, because this is not just a one way street here. We do this together. So shout out to you, man. But it's the DOE Spot. Thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe. I think this is my first time saying that. But like, share, subscribe. I really want to get my channel boosted a little bit. I've gone through some spaces of I don't know, stagnation. But now, it's time. It's time to turn it up. A lot of people, a lot of eyes on me now. So let's make this happen, bro. The DOE Spot, Larry Moffatt. Peace and love, peace and blessings. God is love, and I love you. My new slogan.
Yeah.
We
Peace,
out.
love, and nappiness. Shout out.
Happiness. Hey.
Yeah.
All right.